for the faint of heart. We all stars, win or lose, we don't play the part. And when the going getting tough, I get to going hard. You bring your
Welcome back to the Boss and the Beat podcast. I'm the boss, Rafe, and this is Melissa, aka Miss Beast. We're doing this one a little later than normal. Melissa's still in her scrubs from work. She's put in a 14-hour day. So, we're very grateful that she's here with us. Hope everybody had a great holiday. It's already day 7 of the new year. Time flies. But you know, it's good to be back in the routine, even though we kind of maintain our routine the whole time that we're on the holidays. I mean, we still train, we still eat, but kind of the maybe the workload gets thrown off a little bit, so it still throws us off a touch. So I'm glad to be back to work and in the depths of it, and it's really busy, so I'm loving it. How about you? You a little busy, or you like being back in the routine, back to work?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, we're so used to running it 7 days a week, a couple days off feels like we just totally lost track of time. But, we kind of had a brief overview in the past couple of podcasts how Melissa and I kind of got started and why we wanted to do bodybuilding. And throughout the next episodes, you'll probably just learn a little bit more about us, because we'll come up with some stories and how we got and where we got and why we did things. But today I was thinking we'd talk a little bit about Beast Strong Powerhouse. We're assuming you all know we own some gyms here in Tucson, but kind of want to go back just a little bit and tell you how we kind of got started with it all. And started probably so it was one Christmas in 2015. I was deep into construction. It was before I met Melissa. And for Christmas, my brother had printed a picture of me doing a Dorian Yates, style pose at Teen Nationals. And he blew it up and he put a little quote from Arnold on there, and he hand wrote it out. But he basically was saying, "Hey, fat ass, get back to the gym. You're unhealthy. You need to get back in shape." And I was, drinking, completely not training, and he's 15 years younger than me, this little brother, but I would have him with me all the time. We were at work or bombing around, and he always came to train with me. And we had been to the gym a lot of times before, and he was like, "Let's get back in the gym, let's get going." So that was kind of a little foot in the ass. It's Vinny, my little brother Vinny, kind of a little foot in the, he's not little anymore, he owns his own business. It kind of got me started again, and that spring, we had kept the membership. I had a membership for him and I for like 3 or 4 years at a local gym here in Tucson, and so I started going back, and man, I was using 20-pound dumbbells for overhead presses. Like, that's how out of shape I had gotten over the years. And I had a hoodie on, just hiding in the corner, because I'm used to doing, big boy weights. And then after about 3 or 4 months, I saw this little chick in the gym. Hat on, flat bill hat, short cut hair, like she got there, black. She got her Miss Beast IFBB Pro belt, custom shoes with all the IFBB Pros that she had made, and flaunting her shit. But she's serious. And I'm like, I'm not gonna let that hold me back. But I never had Instagram or social media at that point in time. I was in construction. I was a little more old school. I'd already had the business going, so and it was still kind of fresh, 2015. But I got an Instagram, and I started following her. I posted a picture of that same picture, I think, at Teen Nationals, and she had liked it. And we just kind of hit it off from there. I mean, there's some other backstory about the front desk gal that used to be your friend. I had went up to her, and I was asking about her, and she's like, "Oh, you don't want to talk to her. She's not nice." And I guess at the time they were having a fight. I found that out later. But about 3 weeks later, she pulled me up. She's like, "Go talk to her now." And I was like, "Okay." And then we kind of just hit it off there. I was in there doing calves, warming up for leg day, and she was doing lat pull downs real close. She always had her Beats headphones on. She like pulled one headphone back. I'm like, "That's my in." And that was the best or the worst move she ever made in her life, however she wants to look at it. But fill in if I miss any parts of the story. But anyway, so that's 2016. About that was through the summer, kind of toward the fall, September, October time frame. I think it was like right in October that we actually started communicating, and it moved fast from there. Like, that was in October. By Thanksgiving, we had signed a lease on our first building for Beast Strong Powerhouse, and I named it Beast Strong because her nickname was Miss Beast. So I was like, well, how do we tie all this together? And I designed the logo and kind of came up with the brand from there. But that's also kind of where the name of that business comes from. I named it after her. I kind of built it for her. We started as a private gym. I'm like, I had the money because I was in construction. I did pretty well there. So I bought the first sets of equipment from Rogue and some other pieces around town. And it was a little 2,000 square foot hole in the wall at the time. But I think we had 30 members the first month, just friends. It was a 24/7 access. We had keycard access because I was also running my construction business at the time. And then, man, by June that next year, 2017, so like 6 months in, we had like 90, 100 members. I'm like, well, crap. I was starting to think about cutting out the construction business at that point in time. I ended up kind of phasing out of it until 2018, and then we went full into the gyms, kept expanding. I think we had 3,000 square foot by 18. And then by 19, we got our second location started. It was 5,000 feet. And now we're at 6,000 feet with the original one, a little over 5,000 feet at the second one. And we've probably quadrupled the amount of equipment we have in each one. So, I mean, that's kind of a quick cliff notes on it. But yeah, so we have two Beast Strong Powerhouse facilities here in Tucson. They're about 45 minutes apart. One's more on the east side, one's more on the southwest or the northwest side of Tucson. But yeah, it's been a process. I mean, we had to, 2019 when we signed the lease on that other one, it was in the fall, right when COVID started. 2020, we were able to get another month on the lease because no one knew during COVID, what the heck was going to happen during that time. So we were able to negotiate an extra month to get started, and then we just rolled it. And being that little area of Arizona, we were able to stay open and be open. It was pretty cool. That was rough time. That was probably when I was my own unhealthiest, fat-wise. I was just eating out, just stressed out. I think I had like 7 different flavors of Oreo cookies in the truck at all times. But yeah, stressful times, good times. I mean, I think I forgot about that part. Cops came knocking on the door of the original location right after they started putting all these moratoriums on gyms and shutting things down. And Tucson, Arizona wasn't as bad as other states, but they still were trying to do what they could. But I'm stubborn, I'm bullheaded. I'm like, who's going to pay for my buildings? Who's going to pay for my houses? Who's going to pay for the kids? Who's going to pay for the family, the food? So 20 of us, just that same night, we shut the doors, the police left. I rolled up with 2 trucks and trailers, and we loaded most of the equipment up and put it in our backyard. And we had what we called the yard for like 33 days at my house. So that was, when you talk about a little bit stressful, they're friends, but some of them aren't, but we kept every single member, and that was pretty cool. I mean, I think that's a huge part of our community is, we're going to go an extra step that most gyms wouldn't at that point. It was important to me. It was important to the staff. It was important to the members for sure. And everybody held on. And we still have we still have OG members from 8 years ago that train there, and some of them are my coaches now, and that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. What do you got to add there? Anything? How was that? Was that stressful? Like, we had the garage set up with like treadmills, stair steppers, and then they walk around the backyard. They were doing strongman stuff in the backyard. And we had like rubber mats just in the middle of in the yard where everybody would deadlift and do yokes. And then under the patio, we'd have benches and squats, and people drop dumbbells. We'd be in here like, what the fuck? 'Cause the whole house would rattle, you know, because it's all tied together. You know, it's not built 10 inches thick like industrial buildings. It's just little 4-inch slabs. But it was before I ended up doing all the exterior remodeling at this house, so it worked out, and we kept the business going. So that was pretty intense. It was intense. I think intense is the best word for it. It was intense. Yeah. And at that same time, we were opening that second facility too. So and it's 45 minutes from where we live. So I was back and forth every single day. But, you know, the gym, construction was a passion of my life. And the gym's been a passion of both our lives since I was 12. I mean, since you were 16 probably, right? Not even?
20, so.
20. But still 16 years, right? So it's been a passion a long time. And it's something where community is super important to us, you know, and a safe place for people to hang out at. You know, I was just talking to one of the guys today. He said he lost his wallet at our gym. He's like, I might have lost it at the gym. Let me go home. I thought I might have left it there. He texted me back. He's like, I left it there. But I had another wallet a couple days ago from a dude, and people just pick it up and they put it on the shelf. Like, we have such a great community. We've never had anything stolen at our facilities, and hopefully knock on wood. But it's awesome that you can have this type of trust and this type of community, but it's also testament to Melissa and I, the staff, and every single member keeps it like that. And I think they see us, how hard we work to have this for them and go that extra step. But at the same time, you know, they want that good place to train at and something that's more than other places that they can call their own home, a second home away from home. Because a lot of these guys are just as hardcore as we are. But, you know, that kind of leads us on to one of the questions I had was, what does it take to run a successful gym with multiple locations? Well, shoot, I think being young and dumb, you just get started. You know, and I look back now at some of the business decisions we made along the way, or I made and pulled the trigger. Like, shit, I wouldn't make those same decisions now because I have so much more information and knowledge and experience. So a lot of it was luck, but also a lot of it was just 100% all in all the time. You know, it's like there was no plan B. There was no second option. There was only one option. And the option was, it's going to work regardless. So you're going to put the hours in. You're going to put the time in. You're going to train the clients at all hours of the day and be up all hours of the night and day if you have to be. I mean, they're 24/7 access facilities. A door breaks in the middle of the night, I'm getting a phone call. You know, and initially, I'm the one going out there before I had all the staff. So, I mean, we had a crazy dude, what was it, last year or a year and a half ago? Threw a 12-inch rock through our office window. But he didn't just do it to ours. He did it to like 10 businesses in a half-mile block. And it was a massive police and insurance claim. But this dude was just, I mean, you saw him in the parking lot. He came back like 2 days later, and he was just so
just a meth head all drugged out of his gourd.
Fentanyl, probably?
No.
No?
Definitely stimulants, not opiates.
Oh, man, he was just, there was nothing there, man.
He was just high as a kite.
And I literally had to go out and get in his face, and I told him to get the F off of here, get the hell out of the property.
He didn't even know where he was.
He had no clue. He's in his own little world.
He just grabbed his suitcase and started walking.
He's carrying around a suitcase.
I even called 911 and told the police that he had a weapon, and they still, zero urgency. Nobody came.
Because he was standing in the parking lot looking at a car.
Yeah, he was
not even looking at the window. He's just like...
He was just staring at a car. Nobody was in it. He was just standing there staring in the window.
For like 25 minutes before we even did anything.
But we knew it was him, so I called 911 and I said, there's a guy in the parking lot, he has a weapon. And they were like, how do you know? Or I don't even know what they asked me, something stupid.
Well, they shouldn't even ask.
Yeah, I said, can you send an officer? No, ma'am, that's not a... whatever.
Urgent matter.
A threat, or... Okay. So... TPD is useless. Sorry to say.
Yeah.
I worked at the jail. I've dealt with them they're the ones that closed down the gym, by the way.
Yep.
They threatened to take him to jail during COVID. I said, go ahead.
Do it, bro.
I can tell you what's going to happen. I freaking worked there. Yeah. They're just going to pre-trial release him, so go ahead and waste your time.
Yeah.
Sorry. I do like some TPD officers, but
Well, there's some good officers, but the organization's a little...
garbage. Yeah, straight garbage.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the politics of why it's that way, but fudge. Man, it's...
Sheriff's Department, love y'all. Not a single problem. They respond. They're not...
It just so happens that the second location's outside of city limits in the Sheriff's Department, and they would actually, as part of their route, run through that parking lot in the building 3 times a day during COVID. And every time they would be like, oh, yeah, they just wave. The doors are open.
That was actually, it's Marana PD, but yeah. Marana's cool. They freaking roll through, doors open, people are in the gym, they don't care. They just keep on driving. Like, yeah.
You know, and I would say the majority of even the TPD cops weren't in favor. I'm so bullheaded and stubborn, it wouldn't matter. I'm doing what I think is right regardless. Now, when you own your own business, and this is all your whole life's work, all your life's cash, because we own the equipment, we own the businesses, so we're able to weather these things. We don't have payments aside from the facilities themselves that we lease. That's everything you got, and it's like they just want to step in and take it. I mean, this is America. We're not other countries for a reason, and we need to keep it that way. There's me going.
You kindly tell them to fuck off.
And man, I argued with those sumbitches for 2 hours.
Yeah, I sat here at home watching the security camera, just waiting for them to put him in cuffs so I could drive down there and pick him up.
You got these little 20, 22, 25-year-old kids that are $150, and then you got me, and at the time there was about 10 other strongmen in there, and these dudes are 5'10" to 6'4", and they're all 300, right? And so as we were walking out, all the cops were like, and the one that came up to me like, thank you so much for not causing problems. I'm like, thank God that shit's over. So how is it running a small business? Well, shit, it's hard enough before you got some bullshit like this that came up, and man, for no reason, with no proof of why, and it was asinine. But you know, I think I've been a business owner since I was 18. So it's been 22 years. So I started my construction business at 18. I've been self-employed since then. And it takes a lot of risk. It takes a lot of balls. And you just gotta move forward when you know that things are right. And it's not for everyone. Owning a business is absolutely not for everyone. It's a high level of, you have to be able to handle a high level of stress. To where I didn't even realize, because I started so young, that what was stress, I didn't even think it was stress. I just thought that was how you lived normally, until I realized, you know, it was probably only like 3 or 4 years ago did I finally come to an understanding like, wow, I was really stressed out and I had no clue I was stressed out, because that's just how I lived. And that's not healthy, but man, it builds some character. I mean, it gets you in a right state of mind for even bodybuilding, because you're able to endure and handle at a high rate a little bit more than others. Melissa's done the same thing at her job, even though she doesn't own her own business. She's been a nurse. All the same principles apply. So you can apply these principles to you know, any aspect of life and any career field you want to be in. I just know that being self-employed, always having to chase the dollar, I don't get to come home and just be like, well, 3 days from now when I go back to work, everything will be normal. I mean, yes, you set the business up that way, but we're also the leaders in growing the business and having the direction and wanting to move forward and be more profitable is the whole name of the game. And that takes a lot of time and patience. I think we see the highlight reels occasionally where these guys come out at 21 years old and all of a sudden they're worth $100 million, $300 million by the time they're 28, 30. You know, you get these fast movers, just like you do in bodybuilding. You'll get the occasional kid that comes in and he's a pro, and then all of a sudden he's winning winning shows, and he's at the Olympia in his mid-20s. But that's 1 or 2. I mean, that's a couple percent. The rest of us have to put the time in. And I think, you know, how much time with the social media and the way our society is today, everything's like right now. Well, business growth can be right now, and there are really good times, but you don't just want them to be an accident or a fluke. You know, these things, you have to figure out why they happen and then continue to make them happen all the time. So it's just staying, I mean, like, shit, during adding the second gym and then having that thing happen at the same time was a massive blow to the ego. Like, we had this momentum cranking, and then it just was like, nope, we're not, it's brakes, full-on brakes going 100 miles an hour. And those brakes set off a chain reaction for a couple of years until you can get everything back into the cycle and moving forward. And I'm not the only business that had to deal with this. There's millions of them here in America. But, you know, I think it's just really, how stubborn are you? How hardcore are you on your goals? How bad do you not want to give up? How bad do you want to be different? Because it is being different. And then it's statistically a very small percentage that succeed at a startup. And then to get to 1 million, to get to 5 million, to get to 10 million, you know, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller the higher you climb. So it doesn't get easier. It changes. You have more skill, but it does get harder. I would say guys trying to start their own business, to keep your overhead low. You know, if you were in town maybe and you had 10 or 15 clients and you had a 2 to 3 car garage, well, your house costs you the same amount every month, regardless if you're gonna live there and work somewhere else or live there and work out of there. So you might just start a personal training studio in your house until you get enough momentum going to where you can afford another place. So keep that overhead low, because I think a lot of guys overextend. You can get loans, you can overextend, but if you don't have the experience somewhere else or in your garage setting in order to duplicate it and then keep growing it at that same level or higher levels as you climb up. And I think the best advice that was ever given to me was keep your overhead low, because it's gonna be hard. You can project and look at numbers and be like, yeah, that looks great on paper, but in my experience, very rarely does it ever look like it does on paper. Like, you take what your best, cut it in 50%, and then go, okay, if 10% works, am I going to make that? I mean, that's extreme, but like literally, it's never ever 100%. And if it is, it's a win. Take the win. And I've had plenty of wins, but in general, it's a lot harder most of the time than it is easier. I'm not trying to discourage anyone. I just keep the low overhead. You know, we bought a lot of our equipment refurbished. I did buy a lot brand new, but I also bought a lot where we refurbished it ourselves, or I bought it refurbished from someone else, and that's awesome. No one cares as long as it works, you know. So, and frankly, some of the old school equipment is what we pride ourselves on because it's better than some of this new shit. So, it's what makes you unique. That's what makes us unique as well. But we started off as a powerlifting and strongman gym, really. Like, Melissa did her first pro show when she was with me. So that was when we got together. She had just came off of Arizona. The Arizona show, and not the greatest of placings. And so when I met her, she's like, I just want to do some powerlifting. So it was like 4 years. We both kind of got into the powerlifting. We both competed. She took it way up to a high level. And then, you know, your body starts wearing down again. It's like, I need a break from powerlifting. So she went back into the bodybuilding. And literally in a gym that was 2,000 to 3,000 feet with mainly barbells and dumbbells. I think we had 2 calf raises, 1 leg extension, a reverse hyper, and a hyper extension, and Smith machine and cable rack. Like, that was our gym when we started. And she got herself to win the Arizona show first and go to the Olympia on just that. So all these guys out here nowadays, and that's kind of another thing too. Our gym is a culture. It's a hardcore culture. It's a community that's like, we can get shit done with what we have. We now have almost all the equipment that you could want, and that's awesome. But you don't need it to make it, and you're proof of that. I mean, two Olympia showings with practically any equipment. I mean, it was all barbells and dumbbells, you know, and that's pretty cool, right? Like, you don't need everything. That's like the old hardcore style back before all this, you know, hammer strength was even a thing. So, and I think you still like to lift that way. I mean, you use a machine here and there, but you're still pretty much just banging barbells and dumbbells, you know, and just pushing heavy weight. So, I mean, hope that answers that question a little bit. But, do you have a favorite athlete? Okay, so when you were getting into bodybuilding, did you have someone that you looked, you know, into figure or physique when you were starting? Because you and I both didn't really grow up watching sports and stuff. I wasn't really interested. My parents weren't. Your parents really weren't. So we were more just outside being doers than actually sitting here dreaming of doing what they do. We dreamed of what, and then we kind of made it happen on our end. But, you know, I always had inspirations. You know, I remember, I think I was 16 years old. I had we had a lot of kids in the family, so I had one bedroom. There was a bed over there, and I was over here, and the door would shut. So on the back of the door, I had 3 pictures on the door. Lee Priest, Jay Cutler, and Milos, actually, because I liked their physiques. And I think the reason I liked Lee Priest was because he was really short, and I was a short kid. Jay Cutler, I mean, who doesn't like Jay Cutler? And then Milos, I liked his physique. I don't know, at the time, I thought it was, you know, great physique. Competed 11 times a year a lot of the times. It was impressive to me. So those were kind of my inspirations. I'd wake up I'd sit up in the morning, I'd see those guys and be like, okay, let's get on it, you know. And I started that from a very young age. I mean, I think I even had a book when I was 12 that, it's not the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, I do have that one with Arnold, but it's another book that Jay Cutler, when he was like 21 years old, was in it. And it's black and white. They didn't even have color in the book. It's a pretty cool book. I still have it. I have to pull it out. But who did you have? It's kind of like a, you know, someone that you looked up to?
No one, really. I just like going to the gym.
But, you know, once you got, did you ever go to the Olympia before you were a pro? After you were a pro?
Uh-huh.
You meet anybody there that you drew inspiration off of, like on social media or anything like that? Dana Lynn Bailey or anything?
I was already sponsored by Rich Piana by the time I went to the Olympia, so.
So that, what year was that? Like, that was right when you turned pro, 2014, 15?
Uh-huh.
And you got sponsored by 5% Nutrition? And he didn't sponsor a ton of bodybuilders, did he? He was more of a, he had some, but they weren't like pro, like most companies are like Muscle Tech, you know, it was all the top Olympians, right, and the top competitors. He didn't really care, he just wanted you to be hardcore. Well, we're going to wrap it up. It's been a long day. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn that bell on so you get the notifications when we post this and other content. And if you have any questions, please comment below. We'd love to answer some questions. And we'll see you on the next round.